Hello everybody, my name is Komon and I'm a Prince Cup player, but I'm guessing you're not here for me, you're here for all the new cards coming in version 5.7. Now I'm going to be taking a look at them and the balance changes, telling you what they are, what they do, giving you some tips on how to play them, and I'm going to be rating them starting with Mavuika. Now she's a Pyro Claymore character from Natlan that you might have spotted doesn't use energy, she uses Fighting Spirit. Which we'll get to what that is later, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it will not matter. What does matter is not her normal attack, because you're also not gonna be using that, but her skill. Her skill makes her enter Night Soul with 2 points and lets her select one of 3 Flame Strider cards for just 2 Pyro. Now, what is a Flame Strider card? It's a technique. She gets to select one of 3 techniques to equip only to her. They are only usable by Mavuika. Don't think about equipping them to another Night Soul character. But they both have a played, or in this case, discarded effect, and a technique. So you could both use them for an effect when you actually play them out, or when you discard them, or for technique. In this case, the technique is not worth it, because you spend 2 Pyro to get this card, 3 to equip it, and then 1 to deal 4 damage twice. And you might think to yourself, oh, but I'm just gonna get more Night Soul points like the other characters. 4 damage is so much, it's like Kachina. Kachina deals 3 damage, right? And she's really good. She's really good at spamming her technique over and over. But then you realize Mavuika only has 2 usages. She's different from all of the other Night Soul characters, as in she actually has usages as well. And there's only one way to increase the usages of techniques in this game. There's literally only one. So you're not able to spam this. Like, as many Night Soul points, you can have as many Night Soul points as you want, but you're just not spamming this. So as it is, it's just 7 dice for 8 damage, which we've been able to do that since 2 years ago. Namely with Moon Piercer. Like, you just equip Moon Piercer to Zhao, and for 7 dice he can deal 8 damage. This is nothing new and this is nothing special, but the discard part kind of is. Well, Traverse already has this discard effect, but having it this accessible, you don't gotta do a reaction like Traverse does. This is really good. Just being able to pay 2 dice, select this, and then you can just discard it for 1 free Pyro, that's great. And then also she just stays in Night Soul, because remember, the Night Soul isn't tied to the techniques, the Night Soul is tied to her skill. And she has a way to use Night Soul without techniques, which we'll get to a little bit later. But now let's look at the second technique, which is the worst one. For 2 dice, unaligned, which is okay, when it's played, you trigger the end phase effect of one of your summons. Can you think of any character where this is worth it? Any summon? Literally any summon where this is worth it? Because I can't think of a single one. Because remember, you have to pay 2 dice to get this. You pay 2 dice to get the technique, and then you pay 2 to equip it. That's just not worth it. I'm not paying 4 dice to trigger the effect of 1 summon. And it's random. You don't pick which one it is. You pay 4 dice for 1 random summon? No, absolutely not. And you might think to yourself, well, there's already Night Soul characters with summons. This could be good with them, but it's like, no, I'm not paying 4 dice to trigger Kenichi's burst. I'm not paying 4 dice to trigger Moalani's burst. Like, Moalani can already trigger it with her talent. This is just useless. But then the technique might be useful, and it's not. Switch to your next character and convert 2 elemental dice to Omni. It costs 0, but it actually doesn't, because once again, you gotta pay 4 dice to get to it. And it has only 2 usages. You can't just spam it. Like, if you could just spam it, then maybe it could be useful with Moalani, you know? Moalani swaps to your previous character. Mavuika swaps to your next one. So you can constantly swap back and forth, except Moalani's gonna run out of Night Soul and Mavuika is gonna run out of usages. So this is useless to both of them. Like this doesn't work. Same with Kenichi. This just doesn't work. I'm not paying 4 dice to trigger his burst and then swap to him. I'm just not. So this is just pretty bad. However, her last technique is actually incredible. And this is the one you're going to be picking all the time. For just 1 dice, you can equip it, and it doesn't have an on-played effect. It has an effect once it runs out of usages, which is to draw 4 cards, which, for those of you that might be doing some quick maths right now, it's 2 to get this, 1 to equip it for 4 cards. 3 dice, draw 4 cards, pretty good. But you might think to yourself, maybe it's hard to run out of usages, and the answer is absolutely not. It's so easy. For 2 dice of any type, you get 2 Omni dice. That's it. You just prepare a skill that gives you 2 Omni dice. So you get a card that for 3 dice draws you 4 and then fixes a bunch of them. I think we've had that before. This is just Countdown to the Show. Mavuika just has a built-in Countdown to the Show that also synergizes with technique synergies, right? So you can play something like Atea or Saurus Crackers and just set up a really good technique combo. Like, you use Atea this round, she pays back for herself, you draw a bunch of cards, you equip a bunch of stuff onto someone like maybe Kachina, and then she's gonna make use of the Ateas, she's gonna make use of the equips, and she's gonna kill your opponent. Or she's not, because, spoiler alert, she might have gotten changed in the balance changes. But either way, this is just really good, even in non-Night Soul decks. Even if you don't use Technique Synergy, just having a built-in Countdown to the Show is just really good, because Countdown to the Show is a really good card to have at the start of the game, or just at any point in the game, just for free. And then also, think about the fact that this is a prepare skill, so not just prepare skill synergies, but also Pancration. You have access to Pancration. If you end the round second, you get to draw 2 cards for free. And that goes perfectly with the 4 cards that you're already drawing. You're just setting up such a large combo, and you're doing it for practically nothing. This is just built into your character. This is already efficient. This is already a card that exists, that is played in a lot of decks to just ramp on the first round. So this is one of the best techniques in the game. Remember how Jelonen came out last patch and it was just 3 cards for 4 dice? This is the opposite. This is straight up just better than Jelonen, which is ridiculous. This is frankly just ridiculous. And then we have her burst, which is not as ridiculous. Nowhere even close, actually. For 4 dice and 3 fighting spirit, or any amount of 3 fighting spirit above 3, actually, she gets to enter Night Soul with just 1 point, not 2 for some reason, and then deals pyro damage equal to the number of fighting spirit consumed. And if she has 6 points of fighting spirit, she attaches a status that makes you not consume Night Soul points and deal extra damage during normal attacks. And you might be like, this is so good. Not consuming Night Soul points is so good, but then you realize it has usages. It has 2 usages. Just like everything else Mavuika has, it would be so good if it just didn't have usages. And once again, this would be great with her. Remember her first technique? For just 1 dice, you can deal 4 damage. If you had infinite Night Soul points, that would be so good on anybody but Mavuika, because once again, that has usages. This has usages. For some reason, she's just incredibly limited. And by the way, you only get this if you consume 6 points of Fighting Spirit. Now, yes, if you do that, you're also doing like 4 damage, or actually you're doing 6 damage for 4 dice, which is just really good. But is it that easy to get to 6 points of Fighting Spirit? And the answer is yes and no. What her passive does is it gives her Night Soul points, or when you consume Night Soul points or normal attacks, it gives you Fighting Spirit. So if you have a way to do a bunch of normal attacks or consume a bunch of Night Soul points, then yeah, you can get to 6 pretty easily. But like, let's be honest, you're not doing that round 1. You're doing that like round 2 at the earliest. Like, even if you do a Kachina round 1 FTK kind of situation, which, spoiler alert, you won't be doing anymore. Even if you do that, this is round 2 at the earliest, and like spending 4 dice to deal 6 damage on round 2 and then get a little bit of extra damage is okay. It's just okay. That's all it really is. So you're never really doing the burst thing. Like, you will be, but you're not playing Mavuika for the burst. You're not playing her for the fighting spirit. But you might be playing her for the second part of the passive, which when she uses an elemental skill or burst, it will be the skill. She gets status effect that whenever a different character uses a normal attack or technique, a different one of your characters specifically, she consumes 1 Night Soul point and deals 1 pyro damage. So remember when I said that you can use your skill and not use a technique, but you have a different way to use Night Soul? Yeah, this is it. You can discard away the first technique, the one that deals pyro when it's discarded, and you can still have 2 free pyro damage. All for the low price of just 2 dice. You get for 2 dice, you get the technique, you get this active, and you deal a total of 3 pyro damage if you can discard the technique. That's a great deal. That's a great deal for any character that wants pyro application, which is a lot of them. Let's be real here, a lot of characters would love this. So she's a great combo character, using either her third technique or picking the first one and discarding it, using it with the passive. She's a great combo character, but she's not quite what people thought of her. And this is further exemplified by her talent, which lets you select one of 3 cards, does not make you enter Night Soul, and then after you play a technique, it recovers a Night Soul point. So you already have to be Night Soul, and then it recovers a Night Soul point, but she has usages. Again, she has usages. So the only real reason to recover Night Soul is for her passive. And the only case where you would want to select an extra card outside of her skill is if you are going to be discarding the first one, and you're going to be using it with the passive. Which, by the way, once again, this is incredible. For 3 dice, you get, 4 damage? If you equip a technique to another one of your characters to use, then it's going to be even 5 damage for just 3 dice? Sure, I'm down for 5 pyro damage over the course of the game, sure. Like, this is incredible, but it's not quite what you would think Mavuika does, is it? This is just using her as on-field or off-field pyro application. You never actually want to swap into her. You just use her skill once at the start of the game, and then she deals pyro every once in a while. This doesn't really sound like Mavuika, but it's really good. So my score for her is just 3 pyro application out of 10. That's all she does. She draws you cards, she gives you free pyro. In fact, she can use both at once. She can draw you a bunch of cards, maybe cards that you want to discard, then you use your skill again, you enter Night Soul again, you get to discard one. After you've drawn a bunch of cards, you go to another character, you start discarding away, and life is great. But she's not quite what people thought. People have been telling me that she's incredible, that she's power creeping everybody, that she's the best character ever, and honestly, she's the worst character of the 3 coming this patch. Which is probably disappointing to a lot of people, but I mean, she's not bad, don't get me wrong. If I were to give her an actual rating, it would be maybe a 9 out of 10, but still, she's the worst one here. And by the way, if 9 out of 10 is the worst one, let me tell you, we've got some bangers coming up. Specifically, the best one, Chasca. Chasca is an animal bow character from Natland. She actually uses energy. None of the other characters use fighting spirit, so you don't gotta worry about that. What she does is a normal attack, just a normal attack. You're not gonna be using this, once again, but you are gonna be using the skill. For 3 dice, she gets to deal 1 animal, draw a card, enter Night Soul with 2 points, and then the next 2 times you switch characters, you draw a card. So, I mean, you're gonna be swapping. You always are swapping. Even if your characters die, that's still swapping. Like, this isn't the next time you perform the switch characters action. This is the next time you switch characters. So if you're gonna be swapping, if you're guaranteed to be swapping throughout the game, this is guaranteed 3 cards, right? This is 1 damage, draws a card, and then will later draw you 2 more cards. Even if you're not aiming to swap, which you will be. Let's be clear, you should be making use of this. But even without it, just you can use this at the start of the game, draw a card, deal a little bit of damage, maybe do a reaction, maybe swirl. Maybe she's gonna be great with swirl. If you want more damage out of her, one great way to get damage in this game is reactions. There's a lot of characters that have low individual damage that just happen to do great in reaction decks. So just right away, we're off to a great start. And I haven't even talked about what her technique does. And what it does is it consumes one Night Soul point, deals damage, and then discards 3 cards from your hand. Which might seem really bad, right? Like, you're discarding 3 cards? You're losing 3 cards to just deal 1 damage? But then you realize she has something similar to APEP, which is a passive that shuffles cards that want to be discarded into your deck. She shuffles Shadowhunt Shells, which deal 1 animal damage and shuffle another Shadowhunt Shell whenever they are played or discarded. You're not playing them, you're discarding them. Let's be real here. So let's say you have 2 shells in your hand. Her technique is going to make it so that you discard both of them, most likely, depending on if you built your deck correctly to make sure they're the highest cost cards in your deck. You discard 2 of them, you deal an extra 2 damage, and suddenly that's better than a skill, right? That's 2 cost, 3 damage. That's great. And then also, you gotta note that if your active character is a swirlable element, this will change to that element. So let's say you're playing her with Whale, a discard card. If you can safely swap the Whale and you draw a card using her skill when you swap the Whale, and the card that you draw is a shell, it's gonna turn into Hydro. You don't even need to skill with Whale to get Hydro damage. You just gotta swap back to her, discard it, and suddenly the opponent has Hydro. And suddenly you can start swirling. And guess what? You don't need more than 1 Hydro. You don't need more than 1 Pyro. That's the benefit of Swirl. Swirl reapplies the element, so you can keep going again and again and again. Your opponent can't swap unless they want to give you free damage. This is just a really good card, and I haven't even gotten to her burst, which, let me tell you, is really good as well. Deal 1 animal, deal 1 piercing to all opposing characters, which once again goes along great with animal because it's AoE damage, and Swirl does exactly that. And then you draw 3 cards for 3 dice. Again, 3 dice, draw 3 cards, deal 1 damage. That was great when it was on her skill, and it's gonna be great now on the burst. Not even counting the piercing damage. This is just really good. And like, she is one of the characters that actually has an incentive to use her skill, use up her technique entirely, and then use her skill again. And guess what? The second time you use the skill, you can burst and then you can start discarding. You can fill up your hand and then you can start discarding. But you might be like, okay, you're drawing a bunch of cards, but the Shadowhunt Shells are shuffled randomly. Like, as sometimes with APEP, as many cards as you draw, it's still not, you still don't see his summons that often, right? He shuffles 4 or 5 at the beginning of the game and then shuffles more with the talent. But it's like, even then, you kind of need the talent. And she only shuffles 6. You're not going to see him that often, right? Wrong. Her talent also shuffles shells. So you can basically, if you put 2 copies of the talent into the deck, you can basically think of it as you having 8 shells. And guess what? Yes, she shuffles the shells, but this is in your deck. So you can have this in your opening hand. You can essentially have a shell in your opening hand. And guess what? She doesn't have to be active to get the shell. For just 1, at any point in time, as long as she's alive, you can get a free shell. So let's say you swap the Whale. Let's say you use her skill, you draw a card. You deal 1 animal. Not that great. But then you swap the Whale, you draw another card. That's good. That card is the talent. You play the talent. You get a Shadowhunt Shell, and guess what? Because your active character is Hydro, you get Hydro. You get a Hydro Shell. Then you can swap back to Chasca, draw another card, then you can discard the Hydro Shell, and the games just begin. The games have barely just begun. You're gonna keep drawing and discarding over and over and over and over again. Think about the possibilities. I mean, Countdown to the Show is a card I talked about earlier. Keep in mind, this card has some of the greatest draw in the game already. Weeping Willow of the Lake works when you have a low amount of cards in your deck. Cetaria works when you have no cards in your hand. Countdown to the Show draws you 4 cards and you can reduce it by discarding it, right? Like, this card already has access to some of the best card draw in the game and some of the best dice generation in the form of Central Laboratory Ruins. For just 1 dice, it can give you 3. That's a +2, and you can set it up for later. Keep in mind that if you discard 3 cards, you immediately get 1 dice back from Ruins with, Chasca's technique. So if you set up like Central Laboratory Ruins, a Cetaria, and then you just keep discarding and drawing and discarding and drawing, you can just do that. You can just keep discarding and drawing and discarding and drawing and discarding and drawing. And keep in mind, the Shadowhunt shells don't run out. Whenever you discard one, it shuffles another one back in. So you just have infinite shells. Like, absolutely infinite shells. And you don't have to use Chasca for it. You can use her for just the passive and the talent. You can discard with Jin Yan if you want to. You can discard with anybody else. You can discard it in any other way you want. She's just such a good discard character. And a lot of people have been saying that she's bad because she deals like 1 damage or something, or like that you're not gonna find enough shells. But let's be real. If you want to find shells, you're gonna find shells. How have we been finding all of the APEP summons? Like, you're not using APEP skill that much. You're finding them. You're drawing them. You can draw this many shells. You can. So yeah, my rating for her is absolutely I don't know what people are smoking, but it's gotta be good out of 10. I've seen 2 out of 10s for her. I've seen 3 out of 10s. The highest I've seen somebody else give her is like a 5 out of 10. This is the best character card. Let's be real here. This is the best one. If you're already running a discard deck from previous patches, there's no reason not to run her over like Serpent. Serpent has been in a lot of decks. Run her over that. Yai has been in a lot of discard decks somehow. And what does she do? Just give you a little bit more application and just give you 4 damage per round? Guess what? Chasca's probably gonna give you 4 damage per round as well, and she can probably give you just as much application on top of drawing you cards. She's a replacement for basically any character in discard deck. Take an existing discard deck, put her in it, she's probably gonna be good. That's it. She's just a really, 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 really good discard card. And then we get to a card that's nearly as good, which is Citlali. We'll get to why that is, but she's not as good, let's be clear, but let me tell you, she's better than Mavuika. She's a lot better than Mavuika. And if Mavuika's a 9 out of 10, guess how good Citlali's gotta be. She's a Cryo Catalyst from Natlan. This time the weapon kind of matters, not because you're going to be equipping a weapon to her, but because her normal attack deals 1 cryo damage. That's a lot more relevant than a 2 damage normal attack, obviously. Like, that's it, you get to react with it. However, it suddenly becomes a lot less relevant when you realize her skill is incredible at applying elements. So her skill for 3 damage, or for 3 dice, deals 2 cryo damage, enters Night Soul with 1 point, and then creates 1 Oppo shield and 1 It's Papa. So what those are a status that just gives you 1 shield, and It's Papa, whenever you take damage, consumes a Night Soul point to give you a shield, and when you reach Night Soul point, 2 Night Soul points on Citlali deals 1 cryo damage for 2 rounds. So you immediately deal 2 damage, get a shield, and then you can get an extra shield. Just right off the bat, her skill is just really good value. It's 2 damage, 2 shields. However, have you considered that there's more ways to gain Night Soul points? For example, these 2. Abundant Phlogiston, every time you consume Night Soul points, can give you an extra 1. So if you're already at 2 Night Soul points, the next time you consume 1 to get a shield, you're gonna go back up to 2, and you're gonna deal 1 cryo damage because of it, which is really, really good, obviously. Like, every time your characters get hit, you get to get a shield and deal 1 cryo damage. That's incredible. And just for 0 dice? And keep in mind, the second card, that I forgot the name of, funnily enough, that shuffles 2 Phlogiston into your deck and draws you 2 cards, that's an incredible card as long as you can make use of Phlogiston, and so far, very few decks have been able to. It's basically just Kachina, to be honest with you, but like, this card is just waiting to be absolutely broken, and right now it will be. And you might think to yourself, well, your opponent has to hit you for that, right? You actually have to take damage to get the shield and deal the damage. Keep in mind, you can just damage yourself. You can just, you know, damage yourself for one, get one shield, so you're neutral on health. This is gonna draw you a card later. It costs 0, so it doesn't really cost you a card. It doesn't really cost you any dice. It doesn't really cost you any health, but it deals 1 cryo damage. So if you need just 1 cryo damage to finish off an opponent's character, there you go. You just have it on demand. Like, off of just Tada and the card that I forgot the name of, that draws you 2 cards, off of just these 2 alone, your deck has so much draw, and that's not even talking about the rest of her kit. Just off of this, your deck is meant to have a lot of draw, a lot of free damage, a lot of free shields, and guess what? It might sound a little bit hard to get to 2 Night Soul points. Like, this seems like it's a little bit of a fantasy, right? Once you get to 2 Night Soul points, it goes crazy. But you gotta get there first. It's actually really easy, because she has a passive that whenever you select or deal damage with elemental reaction, you gain 1 Night Soul point. And selecting is very easy because every deck runs soup. Like, that's all you need. You don't need anything else, just run soup. And then elemental reaction, same thing. So many decks do elemental reactions. This is what the game is about. Just do elemental reactions. Hell yeah. And then her burst. If you do run out of the skill, like, you can just refresh your skill because it has a 2-round duration. You're gonna refresh your skill, and then you're gonna burst to deal 4 damage. 2 of it is piercing AoE, which goes great with cryo, by the way, because you can do superconduct, and then you get 2 Night Soul points. So even if you weren't able to get that many Night Soul points early, you can get it a bit later when you get to the burst. And guess what? There's already a deck that wants to do superconducts, that wants to do a bunch of cryo damage, and that's Shenhe Superconduct. You can use Citlali together with Shenhe, buff the cryo damage that Citlali does, and just keep spamming Shenhe's Icy Quotes, keep spamming her skill, and then eventually you're gonna have access to extra AoE damage on top of your superconducts. You're gonna have extra shields, which that deck has not notoriously been known for having good survivability, but now it does. And you're not really sacrificing any damage for it. So Citlali, right off the bat, is great for superconduct, right? That's an elemental reaction, that's a deck that might run soup, that's a deck that wants AoE damage, that's a deck that would actually kind of like some survivability. But then, on top of that, you have a lot of other strategies that you could run because of her talent. After your opponent takes damage from Frozen or Melt, you get extra Hydro and Pyro damage and refresh 1 Night Soul point. So suddenly, every round you can get 2 Night Soul. 1 from the reaction, 1 from her passive when you do a reaction, and 1 from this when you do a reaction. And on top of that, you're getting 2 free damage every round. And if you're doing reactions, you probably have a bunch of different ways to apply elements. You probably have a bunch of different separate pyro hits, like from Mavuika. Consider the following. You use, like, you consume a Night Soul point to deal, like, you consume a Night Soul point, you get it back, you deal 1 cryo damage, then Mavuika, because you've consumed a Night Soul point, deals 1 pyro. That's a melt. That's a melt, and that triggers this. That gives you more Night Soul points. That gives you extra damage for later on, and that costs basically nothing to set up. Again, Mavuika and Citlali both just need to, like, skill once, and then you just do your thing. Like, yeah, it's gonna be kinda hard to set up sometimes. Like, you need to do a elemental reaction early on, and your opponent needs to not hit you. However, that's pretty easy when you've got Mona. Consider the following. Citlali is a cryo character. Mona is a hydro character. She buffs for freeze, right? Citlali buffs freeze. There you go. You can just Mona skill, quick swap to Citlali, freeze your opponent. They're not gonna damage you. You can set up your cryo as much as you want. You have more hydro coming in. You have a talent that's gonna increase its damage. But you might be like, oh, but that's just freezing. That's not even that much damage. Mona doesn't deal that much. Citlali doesn't deal that much. Freeze doesn't increase your damage by much. But Lenny does. Melt does. And consider the following. Lenny also damages himself. So the shield that you get when you damage yourself, the cryo damage that you're gonna get when you refresh the points with Abundant Phlogiston, you can do that even if your opponent isn't hitting you. Even if your opponent says, I'm not gonna hit you, so you don't apply cryo to me, you can still do it with Lenny. You can still do it with Tada. You can still do it with these two characters combined, right? You can set up freezes early on with Mona and Citlali. You can set up some summons. And then from the next rounds onwards, you can start melting with Linny, or you can start vaporizing with Linny. This is already a great combo, and you don't have to do a bunch of small hits, because Mona can double damage, and Linny can deal 6 damage off of his skill. Right off the bat, this is a deck that takes about, like, 5 minutes to make. Like, this isn't even some super elaborate combo, this is just, what if I froze my enemies consistently? This is just, what if I did Mona things? This has been a thing for a while, and I'm expecting us to find so many other ways to use it, Lolly, like with Yalan. Consider the following. I know I've been saying consider the following a lot, but consider the following. Mavuika deals off-field pyro when you normal attack. Citlali gets more Night Soul points when you do elemental reactions. What if round 1 you set up Mavuika, round 2 you set up, or round 1 you set up Mavuika's third technique, you draw a bunch of cards, you fix your dice, you set up a lot more. Round 2 you refresh Mavuika's skill, you refresh Citlali's skill, and you use all of the extra dice that you've gained throughout the first round, or all of the extra stuff that you've set up, to go on Yalan, who from round 2 onwards has a Hydro normal attack that deals 2 damage instead of just the usual 1, right? And it draws you a card in a combo deck. So you go on her, you do like a Vaporize because of Mavuika, you refresh the points on Citlali, your opponent hits you, hits your Yalan, and then your skill is gonna freeze them, and then if they don't swap, you're gonna be able to both melt and vaporize at the same time because they're frozen, and because you've skilled, your next normal attack is gonna be Hydro, so you're gonna be able to draw a card, and then afterwards you can burst to set up normal attacks with Mavuika, because remember, Mavuika can increase the damage of normal attacks, and Mavuika benefits a lot from your character's normal attacking. So the more and more you think about this, the more just insane it sounds. The more insane it sounds. Just Mavuika getting passive power application, Citlali getting passive cryo application together with Hydro normal attacks that draw you cards. Does that not sound incredible? And keep in mind, Citlali's talent can increase the damage of your Hydro and your Pyro. You can get extra Pyro application if you have a way to discard Mavuika's like first technique. It's just the more and more you think about what these two characters can do in these kind of combos, in these kind of like reaction decks, the crazier and crazier it gets, and this is barely scratching the surface. These cards are so cool. And by this point you might have caught on that this is something we've had before. So my rating is that she's blatant Lila power creep out of 10. I mean, a character that gives you a bunch of shields and like basically infinite cryo application of field. Like, yes, this has a duration limit. Lila does not, but let's be real, this is like infinitely better than Lila. This is just any place where you would use Lila, just use Citlali and it's probably gonna be better. But that's about it for the characters. If you want to see me build decks with them, I showcase some examples of characters you might want to play with Citlali, but if you want to see me play specific decks, if you want to see me build decks, and if you want to, if you have any ideas of your own, you can catch me live on YouTube and on Twitch, on this channel, or on Komon Live, 12 p.m. GMT, or about 10 to 11 hours after this video's upload. I'm going to be trying out the new cards, I'm going to be making a bunch of new decks, and I'm going to be playing with them. If you have any ideas, any suggestions, if you want to see your deck be played, obviously you can join in and you can check it out. Now, off to the action cards. We have a new discard weapon, and just like all the other discard weapons, it's bad. For the same reason. If you have a character that wants to discard, they don't need this, and if you have a character that doesn't want to discard, they don't want this. It's just pointless. There is something cute that people have been thinking about, which is Kuching, because you have the stiletto and you're okay with discarding it to negate 1 damage and then deal 1 extra damage and then draw a card, but like, is that actually good? I'd rather just equip a 3-cost weapon. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like if I'm playing Kuching, I'd rather equip a 3-cost weapon. Like even Whale Kuching doesn't actually want to run this because they have better ways to discard or tune most of the time. Like, this isn't good. This just isn't good. There's no point to this. No character actually wants this. Like, it's really good for if a character did want it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, nobody does. So it's redundant. It's just redundant. There's no point to it. But let's skip to the next one, which is also kind of pointless. Like, it costs 1 to give extra 1 damage 2 times whenever you use Night Soul points. Like, what are characters that would use techniques twice in a round to deal damage? Mavuika, she deals 4 already. She doesn't need to deal 5. That doesn't really change anything. Like Kachina already deals so much. I mean, like, realistically, just technique 1 more time. Like, using your technique once is 3 damage. Like, why would you equip this? What's the point of equipping? It's just reduce the cost of your stuff. Reducing the cost of your stuff goes a way longer way than getting a little bit of damage. This is just pointless. Like, who? Just technique again. Why would you? What the fuck is the point of this card? And then we have more technique artifacts. And what this one does is, the next time you consume Night Soul points, one of your characters without maximum energy gains 1 energy twice. It repeats once. So think about the following. Kachina, you skill, you use a technique, and you get 2 extra energy, up to 3. Okay, you can immediately use the burst. Like, every round you can basically get your burst back. That sounds kind of cool. Then also Mavuika doesn't use energy. So this is going to give one of your other characters energy every time she consumes Night Soul points. And she can do it off field. Like, you can equip this to Mavuika and go on Yelan or Setlali or Chasca or any of the characters that I've talked about earlier, and anytime you would use her Night Soul points, which is when you normal attack, you get 2 energy on a character. Sure, this sounds okay. It's not the best thing ever, but I mean, as I said, Mavuika is a great combo character. This gives you better combos in the case where you do want to play it. I'm all for it. It's not that good. I'm gonna be honest with you, because like, Kachina, the Kachina thing I'm talking about, like the Kachina combo decks, aren't gonna be real, as I've been saying throughout the video, and we're gonna see why in the balance changes. And like, I would rather not play this in Mavuika combo decks, but you could. It's okay. It's an okay card. It's not the best, not the worst. It's just okay. But my rating is Kachina combos dead anyway out of 10. The best spot for this card is not real, so I don't need to think about it anymore. However, this is more of a real card. When this card is played for just 2 dice, create Yikes, which is a status effect. Which says that when you play 6 technique cards, or when you play a technique card, if you've played 6, you get 3 shields and deal 3 physical damage. So for 2 dice, you get 6 damage worth of value. That's great. And then it also has a technique of its own, obviously. And for 2, it draws you a technique card, and it reduces the cost of your next technique card by 2. So basically it pays for itself. So you have essentially a free technique. You draw cards, you draw techniques. So like, this can replace itself because it draws you 2 cards. It's a +1. So it's a +1 because it can draw you 2 cards. the technique pays for itself, and then you're basically just paying 2 for 3 shields and 3 physical damage. That's good. That's good. It's just that currently we don't really have enough techniques to play. With Mavuika we do. Obviously, if you're doing like the Mavuika combo thing that I was talking about, like yeah, you can obviously use it like more than once. You can use her technique multiple times in a round to get multiple countdowns, ensure that you get the pancreation off and ensure that you get any prepare skill synergies off. And then, I mean, that's 2 techniques that you've played. This is a 3rd one, and then you just need to play 3 more. I mean, there's a 0 cost one. A 0 cost technique exists. Sure, I mean, you're 5 out of 6. You just play the final copy of Roar, I guess, and then boom, there you go. I mean, it doesn't sound great, but I can guarantee you, as time goes on, as we get better techniques, this is gonna be really good. Just think about it. 2 cost, 3 shield, 3 damage. Does that not sound really good? I think it's fantastic, and I think one day we'll absolutely break it. So yeah, I mean, great card. Even right now, I'm absolutely gonna cook with it. Like, trust me, I'm gonna make decks with this card. Maybe not immediately, but like a week or so in the patch, I'm definitely making a deck with this card that's gonna be really fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this card. I don't think it's gonna break the meta right now. I think it could later, but right now, it's just a good card. Then we have a new arcane. Fight for death. For 1, you draw 1 card, and for every character on your side that is defeated, your remaining characters gain 2 max HP. So if a character has died, you get 4 HP total. If 2 characters have died, you get 4 HP once again. It's just that it's to a different amount of characters, right? Depending on how many have died, like either way, you're getting 4 HP if a character has died. And obviously, a lot of decks already want their characters to die because of why is the rating first? A little bit of a mistake in the presentation, but I mean, actually, this goes perfectly. Please stop printing on death synergy out of 10. You know why I'm saying this? Because we already have cards that can damage yourself to draw your cards. We already have a card that gives you dice and energy when your character dies. We already have the Eremites that whenever they take damage, they gain energy. So imagine you take a bunch of damage with Eremite Scorching Loremaster, you tada Eremite Scorching Loremaster, you use the burst, you get her technique, your opponent kills her, and suddenly all of your other characters gain 4 max HP total, you draw a card back, and then you get one dice and 1 energy. Does that not sound really good to anybody else? That sounds like an incredible combination, and that's not even thinking about the fact that they can print more characters that want to take damage, or more characters that want to die, or more cards that give you a benefit for when your cards have died. I mean, think about Herald. Hydro Herald wants to die, get revived, and then die again for his talent. I mean, is this not really good with that? Like, increasing the cost of your opponent's skills and bursts a bunch of times, then getting a bunch of extra HP on your characters, giving them extra dice, extra energy, drawing cards by damaging your own Herald. Obviously, like, when a character dies, you get a free swap to another character, and you get to respond to your opponent. Like, they don't get to swap in between, like, the action is passed back to you. Like, characters dying can be actually very beneficial, and if they keep printing cards like this, soon we're gonna see one of the most disgusting decks of all time. I'm gonna be completely real with you. Please stop printing on that synergy, because if they keep printing more, it's like, if it's too bad, well, there's no point in using it. But if it's like, so they gotta make it worth it, right? Like, they gotta make characters dying worth it, but if they make it worth it and there's too many cards that are worth it, then suddenly we have a deck that just is probably gonna play Whale just because it has 5 HP and is not gonna increase the HP of Whale, let's be real. In fact, you can probably already do it. You can probably already run Fight for Death with Whale and give your characters 4 extra HP, just let them die and give them 4 extra HP. Sure, I'm cool with it. I would do that, unironically, right now. And, I mean, free energy, free dice from I Haven't Lost Yet, that's always been great. Oh yeah, this just sounds incredible. It's not, obviously it doesn't go in every deck, by the way. Like this is a good generic card as well. Like 4 HP and drawing a card is fine, but I'm not running this in every deck, obviously. Like if I'm running this in decks that don't have an arcane, I guess. Like maybe like there's probably some stall deck where it's like, okay, you might be able to hit my characters for 10 or 12, but you're not gonna be hitting them for 14, right? So like my character this can ensure your like stall characters can survive harder maybe. It's okay. Like there's probably decks that can use this, but like this is mainly for like if you're going all out on a character dying. But yeah, please stop printing on that synergy. Anyway, next up we have the Natlan Resonance. You don't need to read this because it's not useful at all. This is the worst card I've ever seen in my life. For 1 dice, and you have to have 2 Natlan characters, you choose one of your characters, and when they die, you consume 1 dice. They get revived back up to 1 HP, and then if they die again, they consume 2 dice instead, right? Because the reignite goes +1. They get, you consume dice equal to the reignite to revive them, and then the reignite goes +1. So you gotta spend, like, this is an egg. This costs as much as egg does. You spend 1 for this card and then 1 for the revive, and then you gotta spend more and more as the game goes on. This is egg. Like, you get to keep the equipments here, but it's like, is egg good? No, egg isn't good. Don't pretend like egg is good. I'd rather get a card that, instead of saving myself when I'm losing the game, I'd rather like win the game. You know, I'd rather not, revive a character that's already died. I'd rather prevent them from dying. So, bad card. I can spend 2 dice on macarons and that's 4 health. That's so much better than this. That's so much better. And I mean, this can be good against like big hits like Wanderer's Burst or Diluc's Burst or Chongyun's Burst, but it's like, come on. Like if they have that much damage, they're gonna kill you anyway. Like you're don't bother. This is a 0 out of 10. This is 0 out of 10. I'm not even gonna think about it. Don't put this in any decks. But then we have a way better card. In fact, I think this is the best card of the patch, including characters. And you know how highly I was talking about characters? Yeah, there's no coincidence Chasca's on this one. There's no coincidence Chasca's on the card, because let me tell you, it's even better than Chasca. For 3 dice, unaligned, by the way, unaligned, randomly discard up to 2 cards from your hand, and then draw up to 4. We already have a card that draws up to 4 cards for both players for 2. That doesn't see play, but that's because it's for both players. But what if it's just for you? This is really good. This can draw you 4 cards. This can be a countdown, right? If you only have 2 cards left in your hand that you want to discard, you discard the 2 of them, you draw 4. That's great. That's a countdown with the discard synergy. Imagine if you discard a countdown, for example. You discard countdown, you put it back in the deck, and then you draw it again, discount it. That's good. But then, here's the ridiculous part. After you discard this card from your hand, draw 1 card. The biggest downside of discarding is that you run out of cards. You need to draw more to then keep discarding, right? Like, this card is supposed to be a downside. Jinyan's skill deals 2 damage and gives you 2 shields because you need to discard. There's so many cards in this game that give you a benefit that's way too big, specifically because you need to discard, right? Like Conductor's Top Hat reduces the cost of your skill and fixes your dice just when you swap into a character, but you need to discard. Kusava, for 1 dice, you can get 2 dice back on your skills, but you need to discard 2 cards. This completely alleviates that problem. This just immediately draws your card. Imagine you're playing Jinyan, you discard a bunch of countdowns, and then you discard this, so you immediately draw the countdowns back. This is just everything this card wants. You can ignore the first part of the text, which is already good. You can ignore the first part of the card, which is already really, really good. You can only look at the second one, and it's still gonna be a 20 out of 10 card, 30 out of 10, 40 out of 10. I don't care how much you want to give it. Like, this is redraw. This isn't like you don't gotta pay anything for it. This just thins your deck. If you, like you can think about basically just having 28 decks in your 28 cards in your deck. You can think of this card as having 28 cards in your deck, because it just immediately replaces itself with another card that you actually want to see. This is so good. This is so unbelievably good, and this will see play in every single discard deck for as long as discard decks exist. This is an unbelievable card. It is not only free draw for the, you know how I was talking about how maybe you might struggle with drawing your bullets. Yeah, you think you're gonna struggle? You think you're gonna struggle? You can draw 4 cards. Or you can draw 1 for free if you're just discarding everything anyway. This is an incredible card. Like this makes so many discard decks so much better. They need to run so much less draw now. It's incredible how good this card is. And then we move on to a card that might be just as good. In fact, this might be once again one of the best cards in the version, in the patch. Select one of your characters. When your other character prepares a skill, your selected character's elemental skill will cost 1 fewer dice. This doesn't say this round, by the way. This can be triggered 2 times. So you can reduce, for 0, you can reduce the cost of a skill by 2. And by the way, remember how I said Mavuika is gonna have prepare skill synergy? Remember how Mavuika prepares? And she sets up really well for combos? Imagine, you draw 4 cards. One of them is this. You play it again. You go to draw another 4 cards. You discount somebody's skill by 2. You use the rest of your dice to, like, ramp a bunch. You use it on Libens and on Vanaranas, on, like, everything. And, like, isn't that the craziest combo setup ever? And think about it. Think about Sayu. Think about Sayu. Think about Herald. Think about those kind of prepare combo decks. Does this not go right into them? Does this not make them a billion times better? Like, yes, you need to give it to another character, right? The prepare skill character can't discount their own stuff. So this isn't directly buffing Sayu, but it's like, just like this can, while you're doing your Sayu combo, this can discount the cost of your Eula, so she can finish the game, right? While you're doing your Herald combo, this can discount the cost of your Dvalin, or your Sayu if you're running Horror. This is ridiculous. And let's talk about Beidou. This doesn't go there. Beidou doesn't use this. Candace doesn't use this. None of the bad prepare skill cards use this. It's all for the good ones, because the good ones have incredible combos. So my rating is the rich get richer out of 10. They just keep getting richer. Like, Sayu gets better, Herald gets better, Mavuika gets better, and she's not even released. Beidou is like still bad. So incredible card. This is like a boar princess. This is like two wovens, but like it's not really solving prepare characters issue. It's more just giving us new issues to deal with. So I'm not so sure about this card. But thankfully, we have a different kind of prepare synergy. Heal the character for 1 HP, and the next 2 times they prepare, heal them for 1 more. This is terrible. What the fuck? Like, this was their opportunity to buff the different kind of prepare skill characters. This is their opportunity to buff Beidou, and they just didn't. Because it's like, you can heal for 3 in so many other ways. There are so many foods that heal you for 3 for just 1 already. There's so many foods that can already do this. Like, this doesn't change anything about Beidou, especially since the prepare skill characters that suck already get shields, so they don't really need that much healing. Like, healing goes great with them, don't get me wrong, but it's like, does this change anything about Beidou? No. Does this change anything about Sayu? No, Sayu doesn't need this. Herald doesn't need this. Dvalin doesn't need this. Mavuika doesn't need this. Like, if you could heal if you could heal another character, like maybe you could use Beidou's skill to heal another character, or you can use Mavuika skill to use to heal another character? Maybe. But like, realistically, this isn't good. Nobody uses this, so my rating is just... Why did they make this card? Who is this even for? Out of 10, obviously, because my number rating system has been making sense the whole time. Yep. But anyway, let's get into the balance changes, because there are some. And speaking of prepare skill, there we go, a bunch of prepare skill characters on here. Candace, Beidou. This changes nothing. So they go from 10 to 11 HP. That still makes them bad. They're still bad. Then Albedo goes to 12 HP even. He's still bad. He's not. Honestly, he's one of the better characters on this list. You guys know there's a Albedo deck that I love on the channel. I've made 2 videos about it on the channel. And you can make a fun version of this with 36 health, but that doesn't solve the deck's problems. So Albedo is still bad. Baiju, like if you can kill a Baiju with 10 health, you can kill a Baiju with 11 health. Survivability is not his issue. It's just not. But then, who snuck him in here? What the fuck? Why is the imposter among us? What the fuck is this? What am I looking at? Why is he getting extra health? Like in Baiju's case, if you can kill a Baiju with 10 health, you can kill a Baiju with 11. In Novelet's case, if you can kill Novelet with 10 health, that doesn't guarantee you can kill him with 11, let me tell you that much. Especially when he can go up to 14 now with Siege Wind, where he can just, like he gets benefits from being at high health from his normal attack. He is just, what the fuck am I looking at? Why is the double Hydro character that's already good getting buffs? The reason why he hasn't been in the metagame for long is because the metagame just hasn't been favorable for him. But look at what we just got. We just got a bunch of characters that might want to do a bunch of like reactions early on, or like just be very aggressive, do a bunch of discarding. You know what is probably going to do very well against them? Stall. That's right. Like, if you're not... Like, Mavuika is obviously a combo character, so that's bad for stall, but it's like, if Chasca is actually really good and this card ends up really good and they're just like an aggro deck that just goes balls to the walls discarding as much as possible, you just need to survive and then they're gonna lose. Like, you just need to survive. And guess what Novelet decks are really good at doing? It's surviving. And they're making it easier for him to survive. This is making it so that when Novelet stall does have an opportunity to come back, it's gonna be just straight up a lot better than before. I'm gonna be honest with you, the 1 HP makes a way bigger impact on him than the 2 HP does on Albedo. Like, who the fuck snuck him in here? Why is the imposter among us? Wait, what? I don't know, man. I don't know. But then we have non-HP balance changes, like Raiden. Her burst goes from 4 to 3, which is great. That's fantastic. It makes it so that if you can set up her burst on round 1, like you can, with just one Woven, you can do normal attack burst, or with a lot of Electro, you can do skill normal attack burst. And oftentimes it was awkward to use her burst alongside another character's burst in round 2, so this makes it so that basically whatever combo you're setting up with her, you can set up 1 round earlier pretty consistently. This might even change the deck, the way Raiden decks are built, because you can just more reliably, more consistently get her combos much quicker. So this is a great change. This does definitely help Raiden a ton. Then yeah, I'm all for it. And then we have this, which does nothing. It's an HP change again, and it's a damage change, but like, what? Like, think about the purpose of Hydro Hilichurl Rogue. It's to stop your opponent from doing stuff, right? It's the bubble stops your opponent from doing stuff. You know what else can do that? Freeze. Freeze can do that. And you know who's a great freeze character? That's right, Novelet. And Sitlali now. You can just run Sitlali with Novelet probably, and it's gonna be really good. Because he damages himself, so you can actually get even more Hydro than you usually would. So yeah, I mean, it's Novelet. It's not like what. Like, there's even less of... Like, they buffed Hydro Hilichurl Rogue by 1 health and 1 damage, and there's even less of a reason to play him now. Now that Setlalia exists and Neverland was buffed a little bit, there's even less of a reason to play this character. It's hilarious how little this matters. Don't play Hydro Helical Rogue, it's not a good card. In any context, just play Freeze. But then, we have nerfs. Like this one that does nothing. Because how many times are you triggering his talent in a round? Most of the time it's 3, maybe 4. Sometimes 5 even. But like, really? 5 damage. Like, it's going from 5 down to 3. We're reducing it by 2 damage. In the deck that can already do like 10 damage every single round, starting from round 2. Every single one. And they can even do more than that. Like, do you think this was the issue? Do you think 3 usages is appropriate? If they limited it down to 2, then maybe it would do something. Actually, it would do a lot if they limited it to 2, but at 3? Does he still not deal like 10 damage around? Am I missing something? Does this not just make him the same exact character? Like, it makes him a little bit weaker, but like so little that it doesn't matter, because the whole point of the deck is that that as long as you can set it up on round 1, from that point onwards, it just consistently does its thing again and again and again and again and again. Like who cares if it deals 12 or 10? It's gonna be dealing a lot of damage for essentially free, pretty consistently, while also having a lot of survivability. This doesn't change how the deck plays at all. This just nerfs it by 1 damage, maybe 2, in of course over the course of a game, maybe even 3 if we're feeling a little bit adventurous. But you know what is a change that does a lot? Chino. This is the change that I've been talking about this whole time. Kachina goes from 1 unaligned to 1 Geo on her technique, which keeps the only Kachina deck that wasn't annoying alive. This keeps Kachinavia alive. So the pretty honest mid-range deck with Kachina is still alive. The FTKs are dead. The combo decks are mostly dead unless you find a way to get way too much Geo. But like, let's be real here. The annoying part of Kachina is gone. They listened. Like, people were asking for nerfs, and they got the best nerf possible. Kachina is still viable in, with Linny and Navia. She's still in a great deck. In fact, it might be the best deck in the format. It's one of the best decks in the format at the very least. And it's gonna still do well. But it nerfs all of the annoying decks. So I'm all for this change. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just, yeah, it's a great change. It nerfs the annoying decks. It keeps the good deck that is meta relevant but isn't that annoying. Oh yeah, this sounds like a fantastic change. And that's it for today. If you liked this video, you can like. If you have any questions, you can comment, or if you have any ideas, you can also comment. You can subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you, hopefully, on the stream today. Goodbye, everybody.